Imagine a man who had everything: power, wealth, success. Yet his life was empty, his heart silent. Until one night, two little voices changed everything. A simple request at a dinner table turned into a journey that redefined love, family, and the true meaning of wealth. The question is, what did they ask that transformed his life forever? The golden glow of the evening slipped through the tall glass windows of Bella Vista, the most elegant restaurant in the city. Every Tuesday night, like clockwork, a man in his mid-30s occupied the same corner table. His name was Jonathan Hayes, CEO of a billion-dollar empire. Success clung to him like a shadow. Yet so did something else: emptiness. He scrolled endlessly through reports on his phone, the untouched plates before him testifying to a hunger no cuisine could satisfy. Couples laughed at nearby tables. Families shared warm stories, and Jonathan sat alone. He had built towers of wealth, but failed to build a home filled with laughter. But that Tuesday evening, something would happen that would shake the very foundation of his carefully constructed world. Just as he was about to leave, he heard the tiniest voices, a whisper that would echo louder than boardrooms ever had. "Excuse me, sir." The words were soft, delicate, yet strong enough to cut through the restaurant's buzz. Jonathan looked up and froze. Two little girls stood before him, identical in appearance, perhaps 4 years old. Their white dresses bore signs of many washes, their braids neat yet humble. Despite their circumstances, dignity radiated from them. "May we please have your leftovers?" one of them asked, her voice trembling but polite, trained in manners even in hardship. Jonathan's phone slipped from his hand. For the first time in years, work didn't matter. Their eyes weren't begging. They were bravely requesting. He felt a weight shift inside him, a crack in the cold armor around his heart. Jonathan could have waved them away, but instead, something compelled him to act. "Of course," he whispered, his throat tight. But he didn't just offer food, he offered them a seat. The twins hesitated. They had expected a yes or no, nothing more. "We do not want to bother you," the second one said, her tone carrying pride. Jonathan pulled out chairs anyway. "You are not bothering me. I'm Jonathan. What are your names?" The first smiled shyly. "I am Emma, and this is my sister Ella. We always stay together." As they ate small, careful bites, Jonathan's heart broke and healed in the same moment. He learned their mother stood outside, too proud to enter, letting her daughters ask politely instead. Their courage amazed him, but curiosity stirred within. Who was the woman raising them with such dignity in the face of despair? "Would you like me to meet your mother?" Jonathan asked softly. The girls exchanged a silent glance, then nodded together. Outside the glowing restaurant stood Sarah Mitchell, late 20s, her beauty dimmed by exhaustion. When she saw Jonathan approach, embarrassment flushed her cheeks. "I am so sorry my daughters disturbed you," she began, eyes downcast. "I told them they could ask politely for leftovers, but I never meant for them to interrupt." Jonathan studied her carefully. This wasn't weakness. This was strength carrying heavy burdens. 2 jobs, endless bills, and still she taught her daughters dignity. "Sarah," Jonathan said, voice steady, "they didn't disturb me. They impressed me." For the first time in years, Jonathan wasn't looking at spreadsheets or profits. He was looking at something money couldn't buy: character. And in that moment, he felt an idea forming. A dangerous, life-altering idea. Over the next hour, Jonathan listened to Sarah's story. Her husband lost in a tragic accident, debts piling, nights spent choosing between rent and food. She admitted, "I have never asked for help before. But tonight, watching them go hungry was too much." Jonathan leaned forward, surprising even himself. "Sarah, I have a proposal, one that could change everything." Her brows furrowed. "I don't want charity." "This isn't charity," Jonathan countered. "I need someone trustworthy to manage my household. I travel often. I have a guest cottage, empty, waiting. Housing, salary, flexible hours. It's work, not pity." Sarah's breath caught. She wanted to refuse, but her daughter's laughter inside reminded her. This wasn't just about her pride. Could she risk trusting a stranger? Could he risk opening his world to them? 6 months later, the answer would be written in the sound of children's laughter filling Jonathan's once empty halls. What had been just walls and furniture was now alive. Sarah turned the empty cottage into a warm haven. Emma and Ella's giggles filled gardens that had once been silent. Jonathan, for the first time, felt what weekends were meant for: joy, chaos, love. Sarah managed more than his home. She managed to soften Jonathan's loneliness. The girls gave him the family he never knew he needed. Yet even as happiness bloomed, Jonathan wondered, what if this was temporary? Because happiness, he had learned in business, often came with an expiration date. One evening, as the twins chased fireflies, Sarah whispered, "Jonathan, thank you. You saved us." He smiled, shaking his head. "No, Sarah. You have it backwards. Your daughters gave me something money never could, a family." He realized then, true wealth wasn't in his bank accounts or our collections. It was in firefly nights, tiny footsteps on marble floors, and stories told at bedtime. For the first time, Jonathan Hayes felt rich in the ways that mattered. But fate wasn't done twisting his life. A new chapter was waiting, one that would bind them all forever. 2 years later, under the same garden lights where laughter had replaced silence, Jonathan and Sarah stood hand in hand. Emma and Ella, flower crowns on their golden heads, scattered petals down the aisle. Jonathan's voice broke as he spoke. "2 little girls once asked me for leftovers. That night, they gave me the greatest feast of my life." The guests wept, but Jonathan's eyes were fixed on his new family, no longer strangers, no longer incomplete. His world had been rebuilt, not with steel and glass, but with love. Yet as the celebration roared, Jonathan whispered to himself, the real feast had only just begun. Years passed, but Jonathan never forgot that night at Bella Vista. Emma and Ella grew, their courage shaping not just their lives, but his legacy. In speeches across the world, Jonathan no longer talked about profits or markets. He talked about giving instead of getting. He told the story of how the smallest voices carried the loudest truths. Sometimes, he'd say, the people who ask for the least deserve the most. And sometimes, when you think you're helping someone, you discover they're saving you. The audience would always lean in, captivated, some with tears in their eyes, because behind those words lay a truth Jonathan carried forever. He hadn't just gained a family. He had found his soul. And so, the man who once sat alone at a corner table, surrounded by silence, discovered that the greatest success of all wasn't measured in empires, but in the simple treasures of shared laughter, fearless love, and the courage of 2 little girls who had asked for nothing more than leftovers, and in return, gave him a life overflowing with everything he had ever truly needed.